Listen to me carefully, because this is the moment you draw a line in the sand. This is the moment you stop settling for average. This is the moment you decide that your future will not be written by fear, excuses, or old habits, but by you. You want a bigger life, then you've got to demand more from yourself than you ever thought possible. Comfort is a liar. Comfort tells you, stay where you are, play it safe, you're fine. But fine is not why you're here. Fine is the enemy of greatness. You've got dreams inside you, ideas, a vision of a life that makes you come alive. And right now, the only thing standing between you and that vision is the standard you're willing to accept for yourself. So hear me when I say this. You must force yourself to level up, not wait for the perfect time, not hope someone saves you, not think maybe one day it'll happen. No, you decide now. Force yourself to push when you're tired. Force yourself to keep learning when your mind says, I've had enough. Force yourself to make that call, send that message, launch that idea. Force yourself to do the hard thing, because on the other side of hard is everything you want. The pain of discipline will never come close to the pain of regret. One day you'll look back and thank yourself for refusing to let fear or laziness run your life. But that starts here today with a choice. Ask yourself, what's the standard I'm going to hold myself to? Am I willing to demand more from myself than anyone else ever could? Because that's how you change, that's how you grow. That's how you break through the walls that have kept you trapped. So stand up, raise your energy, lock in a vision so powerful it pulls you forward, and then, don't just want it, don't just dream it, don't just plan it. Force yourself to level up. Your future is waiting. The only question left is, are you willing to rise and claim it? Comfort is the enemy of greatness. It whispers in your ear, telling you to stay where it's safe, to avoid the risk, to hold on to what you already know. Comfort convinces you that you're doing well enough, that you don't need to push harder, that you should be grateful for what you already have. And while gratitude is powerful, settling is deadly, because the moment you decide that good enough is acceptable, you shut the door on everything extraordinary that could have been yours. Think about it. Every great achievement in human history was born out of discomfort. The breakthroughs, the revolutions, the inventions, the art that moved the world, the athletes who shattered records, the entrepreneurs who built empires, all of it came from people who refused to stay comfortable. They were willing to endure the pain of growth, the uncertainty of risk, the exhaustion of relentless effort, and that's why they became great. Comfort is seductive because it offers you short-term relief. It feels good to relax, to avoid the challenge, to postpone the work. But that temporary relief comes at the cost of long-term fulfillment. The truth is, every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce weakness. You tell your mind and body that it's okay to stay the same. You teach yourself to shrink instead of expand. And slowly, without realizing it, you become trapped inside a life that doesn't reflect your true potential. Discomfort, on the other hand, is the birthplace of transformation. When you push yourself beyond what feels easy, when you do the thing you don't want to do but know you need to, you stretch your limits. You build resilience. You discover strength you didn't know you had. Every time you step into discomfort, you level up. Not just in skills, not just in results, but in identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who can handle more, achieve more, become more. Look at the times in your life when you've grown the most. Were they the moments of ease when everything was going smoothly? Or were they the moments when you were tested, when you were pushed to your breaking point, when you had to fight for what you wanted? Growth never comes in the comfort zone. It comes when you force yourself to rise above it. Comfort tells you rest a little longer. Growth demands get up and move. Comfort says play it safe. Growth shouts take the risk. Comfort insists you don't have what it takes. Growth responds you'll never know until you try. And in that battle between comfort and growth lies your destiny. You can choose comfort and stay exactly where you are, maybe even slowly decline without noticing. or you can choose growth and endure the struggle that leads to greatness. You can either let the voice of comfort dictate your future, or you can silence it by taking action. That action may not feel good at first. It may feel like resistance, like fear, like uncertainty, but that is the very sign that you're moving in the right direction. Your mind is designed to protect you from discomfort because it associates discomfort with danger. But in today's world, danger isn't the lion outside your cave. It's the complacency inside your heart. The greatest danger is not that you'll fail, but that you'll settle, that you'll live your entire life inside the box of safety and never know the magnitude of what you are capable of becoming. So when comfort calls, recognize it for what it is, the enemy of greatness. It may feel warm, it may feel safe, it may feel familiar, but it will never give you the life you dream about. Only by stepping into discomfort can you create the extraordinary. Only by rejecting the easy path can you carve out a destiny worth living. Raise your standards, raise your life, everything you have right now, your health, your relationships, your finances, your career, your happiness, is a direct reflection of the standards you've been willing to accept. Standards aren't wishes. They're not dreams. They're not things you casually hope for. Standards are the minimum level of living you refuse to fall below. If your standard is average, your life will be average. If your standard is excellence, your life will move toward excellence. It's that simple. When you look at people who have achieved massive success, it's not that they're more gifted, more intelligent, or luckier than you. What separates them is the level of standards they hold themselves to. They demand more from themselves than anyone else ever could. While others are willing to give 70%, they push for 100. While others are satisfied with good enough, they won't rest until they've brought their absolute best. The difference isn't capability. It's the refusal to settle for less than they know they're capable of. Raising your standards is not about comparing yourself to others. It's about comparing yourself to the version of you that you know you could be. It's about closing the gap between where you are and where you know deep down you belong. Maybe you've told yourself you're doing okay, that you're getting by, that you're making progress. But ask yourself, are you truly living at the level you're capable of, or are you tolerating less because it's easier than demanding more? Most people don't realize that their standards run their lives more than their goals. Anyone can set a goal, but if your standards are low, you'll never reach it. If your standard for health is, I eat when I'm hungry and hope it's not too unhealthy, you'll never create the body you want. If your standard for relationships is, as long as we're not fighting, we're fine, you'll never create the deep love and passion you deserve. If your standard for success is, I just want to make ends meet, you'll never experience financial freedom. It's not the goal that shapes your life. It's the minimum you're willing to accept. The moment you raise your standards, your entire life begins to shift. Because when you demand more from yourself, you start taking different actions. You start associating with different people. You start feeding your mind different information. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your new identity. And every choice you make starts pulling you upward, toward the life you know you were born to live. Think of a thermostat. If the thermostat is set at 70 degrees, the room will eventually cool back down to 70 no matter how much heat you pump in. Your standards work the same way. You can push yourself for a week or a month, but if your internal standard is low, you'll drift right back down. The only way to change your life permanently is to reset that internal thermostat. Raise the standard of what you demand from yourself every single day. You already know this to be true in your own life. Think about a time when you finally said, enough is enough. Maybe it was about your health, your finances, or a toxic relationship. The moment you raised your standard, the moment you refused to accept less than you deserved, everything started to change. That's the power of raising your standards. It doesn't just improve your life gradually, it transforms it instantly, because you shift from wanting something to making it a must. And here's the key, When you make something a must, you'll find a way. You'll stop negotiating with your excuses. You'll stop waiting for motivation. You'll stop depending on circumstances. You'll start taking massive action because your new standard won't allow you to do anything less. Raising your standards is the most powerful decision you can make because it doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. You no longer identify as someone who tries. You identify as someone who follows through. You no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances. You see yourself as the architect of your life, and once you make that shift, everything else follows. Discipline now prevents regret later. Every single day you are faced with two choices, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline asks for effort, commitment, consistency, and sacrifice. Regret demands nothing in the moment, but takes everything later. One is temporary discomfort. The other is a lifelong weight you carry on your shoulders. Too many people avoid the short-term discomfort of discipline only to wake up years later asking themselves why they didn't do more, why they didn't push harder, why they let opportunities slip through their fingers. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about freedom. It's the freedom to wake up and know you are in control of your future. It's the freedom to build a body you're proud of, a career that fulfills you, relationships that thrive, and a life that reflects your potential. Without discipline, you are a slave to your impulses, to distractions, to the pull of what feels good right now at the expense of what you truly want long-term. With discipline, you take back your power. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. Most people underestimate the cost of regret. Regret doesn't scream at you in the moment. It whispers years later when you see someone else living the life you wanted. It shows up when you look back and realize you wasted time, when you realize you chose comfort over growth, when you recognize you let fear dictate your choices. Discipline, on the other hand, feels heavy in the present but gives you lightness in the future. You may not want to wake up early, but the discipline of doing so compounds into energy, productivity, and success. You may not feel like working out, but the discipline of movement compounds into strength, vitality, and confidence. You may not enjoy making tough decisions now, but the discipline of making them compounds into freedom and control over your destiny. Discipline is the bridge between goals and reality. You can set all the goals you want, visualize the life you desire, dream about the success you crave. But without discipline, none of it comes to life. Goals without discipline are wishes, and wishes don't build legacies. Discipline transforms what you want into what you achieve. It creates momentum, and momentum creates breakthroughs. Every act of discipline strengthens your identity. When you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you send a message to your brain, I can trust myself. And when you trust yourself, you build confidence. Confidence is not built from saying you'll do something and following through only when you feel like it. It's built from doing what you said you would do even when every part of you wants to quit. That's the kind of confidence that changes your life. Think about people who have achieved extraordinary success. They don't have fewer temptations or distractions than you do. They feel the same resistance, the same fatigue, the same doubts. The difference is that they've trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. They know feelings are fleeting, but the results of discipline last. They don't wait for motivation. They rely on standards. They don't depend on inspiration. They depend on consistent action. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about getting back up when you fall short, recommitting when you slip, and refusing to let one bad day turn into a bad week, a bad month, or a bad year. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it, because you know your future self is counting on you. And that future self will thank you for every moment you chose discipline over ease, progress over procrastination, growth over excuses. The truth is, you are going to pay a price either way. You can pay the price of discipline now, waking up early, saying no to distractions, doing the hard work, pushing through resistance. Or you can pay the price of regret later, wishing you had started sooner, wishing you had been stronger, wishing you had not wasted the opportunities in front of you. One price is heavy but temporary, the other is light now but crushing later. Which one you choose will define the rest of your life. Growth lives on the other side of hard. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every leap forward in life is waiting just beyond the challenge you've been avoiding. The truth is, nothing worth having comes without resistance. The very obstacles you wish weren't in your way are the exact things designed to make you stronger, sharper, and more capable. Hard is not a punishment, it's the pathway. And the moment you stop running from it and start leaning into it, you unlock the version of yourself that you've been chasing. Most people pray for an easier life. They wish for fewer problems, fewer struggles, fewer setbacks. But life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. You don't grow in the moments when everything goes smoothly. You grow in the moments when you're tested. Hardship reveals what you're truly made of. When you face resistance, you have a choice: back down and stay the same, or push through and come out the other side as someone new. The gym is the perfect metaphor. Your muscles don't grow by lifting light weights forever. They grow when you push them beyond their comfort zone, when you lift something heavy enough to cause strain, when you challenge them to adapt. The pain you feel is not damage. It's growth in progress. Life works the same way. The struggles that feel heavy, the situations that stretch you, the challenges that push you to the edge, they are building you into someone more powerful. But here's the problem. Most people quit when it gets hard. They think the difficulty is a sign they're on the wrong path, when in fact, it's proof they're on the right one. The resistance you feel isn't a barrier. It's a signal that you're entering new territory. Growth doesn't happen in the familiar. It happens when you step into the unknown and face the discomfort of change. Think about every achievement you've ever been proud of. Was it easy, or did it require sacrifice, persistence, and the courage to keep going when you wanted to stop? That pride you felt came not from the result itself, but from knowing you endured the process to earn it. Easy wins don't create fulfillment. Hard, fought victories do. The mind will always try to protect you from hard. It will whisper excuses: you don't have time, you're not ready, it's too risky, do it later. That voice is not there to help you, it's there to keep you safe. But safe is not what you're here for. Safe keeps you small, hard expands you. Every time you ignore the excuses and do the hard thing anyway, you rewire your mind to trust that you are capable of more. Look at the people you admire most. They didn't get where they are by avoiding difficulty. They faced challenges most people would run from. They embraced the hard, knowing it was the price of greatness. They didn't wish for fewer problems. They became the kind of people who could handle bigger ones. And that's the difference. It's not about eliminating the hard. It's about becoming stronger than the hard. Growth demands that you stop avoiding the difficult conversations, the bold decisions, the uncomfortable habits. It asks you to stay in the fight when others quit. It asks you to show up when you feel like hiding, to push forward when progress feels invisible, to keep believing when doubt screams in your ear. The harder it feels, the closer you are to a breakthrough. Every challenge you face is not blocking your growth. It is your growth. The very thing you want to avoid is the thing you need to embrace. The obstacle is not in the way. The obstacle is the way. And when you finally accept that truth, the hard stops being something you fear and starts being something you welcome, because you know what's waiting for you on the other side. Decide, commit, and force yourself forward. Nothing changes until you make a decision. Not a half-hearted wish, not a casual thought, not a maybe someday, but a real decision, the kind that cuts off every other option and declares, "This is happening." The moment you truly decide, you draw a line in the sand. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop entertaining the idea of failure. Decision is the spark that ignites transformation, but decision alone is not enough. You must commit. Commitment is what turns a decision into reality. It's the fuel that keeps you moving long after the excitement fades. Anyone can be motivated on day one. Anyone can feel fired up when the idea is fresh. But commitment is what carries you on day 50, when you're tired, when it's inconvenient, when the results aren't showing yet. Commitment is not about feelings, it's about identity. When you commit, you no longer ask, "Do I feel like it?" You declare, "This is who I am, this is what I do." The truth is, most people never see their dreams because they live in a cycle of half decisions. They say they want to change, but they leave the back door open. They tell themselves they're committed, but they quit the moment things get uncomfortable. They confuse wanting with deciding, and they confuse deciding with committing. That's why they never break through. To move forward, you can't just want it. You have to force yourself to follow through even when everything in you screams to stop. Forcing yourself forward is not about pushing recklessly. It's about taking ownership of your future. It's about refusing to let fear, laziness, or doubt dictate your choices. There will be days you don't feel like showing up, days you question if it's worth it, days you wonder if you're cut out for this. That's where forcing yourself comes in. Because success doesn't come to the people who feel like it. It comes to the people who do it anyway. Your mind will give you 1,000 reasons to stop. It will tell you that you're tired, that you're not ready, that you'll start tomorrow. But you cannot negotiate with that voice. You must override it. You must decide again and again that no matter how you feel, you are moving forward. Action creates clarity, action creates momentum, and momentum builds results. When you force yourself to act even in small ways, you create proof that you're serious. That proof builds confidence, and confidence feeds commitment. Think about the times in your life when you made a true decision and stuck with it. Maybe it was walking away from a toxic relationship. Maybe it was finishing something everyone else doubted you could finish. Maybe it was breaking a habit you thought controlled you. The power wasn't in the circumstances. It was in the moment you decided, committed, and kept moving forward no matter what. That's the same power available to you right now. The people you admire, the ones who live at a higher level, aren't different from you in potential. They're different in how they decide, how they commit, and how relentlessly they force themselves forward when most people stop. They understand that feelings are fleeting, but commitment is a choice. They understand that growth demands consistency, not convenience. And they understand that waiting for the perfect time is the fastest way to waste a lifetime. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is bridged by decisions, fueled by commitment, and crossed by forcing yourself to move forward day after day. You can either wait for life to hand you opportunities, or you can create them by refusing to stop. You can either let your excuses win, or you can decide once, and for all that nothing will hold you back. The moment you stop waiting and start forcing yourself forward, you take control of your destiny.